It, it was when we started. I just. So you're going to tell us about how you became a project manager and take it from there.
Great. Yeah. First of all, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
After this week, it tastes very good. Okay. I have no slides. I told Brian I'm not going to create any slides. It's just a talk where we're going to see what we're going to do. Okay. Brian already told you why I call myself the invisible president. The last time I saw my members was the 21st of January in 2020, when we had the General Assembly, where I explained a lot of things of what I was going to do. And then the first event we planned, we had to cancel. You know why, I don't have to explain that. But I hope to see some of you still this year, because we are planning real events this year. But to answer the question, how did I become a project manager? Oh, that's a story. It was not that as a little boy, I was telling everyone, I want to be a project manager. No, my goal when I was, let's say, 12, 14 years old was to become a postman. And the reason is very simple. I liked the job, and I heard, living in Limburg in that time, that postmen, when they brought, you could say, the post to people, they got a little shot. So I said, this is my job. But my parents told me, Jacques, sorry, we don't want that. You have to go to the university. And okay, I went to the university. I studied chemistry. And to be honest, I never worked in chemistry. I did different things. But to come to the project management, I jumped in that very late. And the entire story starts in 2002. When I changed job. Now, most people told me, Jacques, 47 years and you change a job where you have been working for 20 years in the other company, you're crazy. My mother, I still remember, she said to me, are you really a bit crazy? So I changed job and I went to a small company. And the reason I went over there, in fact, was because it was the year that Apple came out with their System 10. And I've always been, to be honest, a teacher. So I'm still, even today, I give trainings on computers. And I was a well-known teacher on Macs. And if you look at the System 10 in that time compared to the previous System 9, there was a big difference. So I went to the company because they had a need of a teacher in Mac OS 10. And that went very good. And then suddenly, in that company, they came up with a project of developing a program to collect data from cancer and age research. It was for a pharmaceutical company in Belgium. Perhaps some of you know them, Becton Dickinson in Aalst, they're in Bodegem. It's a fact, they are well known. And that was a huge, huge project, to be honest. And we worked together with a company that said they were project managers. And I was involved to create the quality tests and to the quality manuals, you could say. But the project management was so bad that I said, we have to stop that. Okay, the customer told me, good, Jacques, you're right, they are terrible. do you know what? You do it yourself. To be honest, we were then 2004, and about project management, I knew nothing. Yeah, what do? You say, okay, I will do it. I quickly started searching for courses on project management. And the course I followed was at ASL, AMS. It was a 1-year evening course on project management. It was a very good course. One of my teachers was Chris Kindermans. And while I was following the course, I was doing that project. So, and that is, to be honest, the way I got into project management. So you can say it happened to me. I dived, I had to swim, and to be honest, I'm lucky I didn't drown. I still like it, doing things like that. But I'm not an example, you can say, to young people. I was, yeah, a bit older to start with.
But you're still a big influence to the youngsters today, right? Because the way we met, and Orla's going to come on camera and confirm this in a minute and tell us, through ISF and the work you do in the schools.
Yeah. That's another story. It was when I did that training, I joined PMI because Chris made a lot of publicity on PMI, of course. I joined PMI. And in one of the meetings, they were talking about looking for volunteers in education, people who wanted to go to schools, try to promote it. And I talked to Chris, who by that time was the Education Foundation liaison. And I visited schools to promote project management. And that's the way I got involved. I got in contact with ISF. That's true.
But and Chris was president for 4 years.
Yes.
So why are you stopping after 2? You could have carried on.
No.
You're still on the board, right, for 2 years as
yeah,
ex-president.
I keep involved, and yeah. I will not leave because I joined the board. I think I joined the board in I don't remember anymore. 2010, I think. I'm now almost 11 years really in the board. Because my first job I did was educational, what Willem is doing now, where I started the project on the VDAB, and the one that's still going on. But the difficult part was and is still convincing schools that project management is important for schools.
We heard the presentation from Chris earlier today, right, about the educational foundation.
Yeah.
The amount of money they invest and the amount of volunteers they get is incredible, and teaching young people is a great way for project managers to give back. So yeah, I think that's a message that needs to be shared as well. But Jacques, as I know you, and some of the other things you've got us involved in as well, right? One presidency is not enough for you, is it?
Why not? Looking at my age, normally I should be retired. So
yeah, but I'm talking about different organizations, because you're not just president at the moment. You're not just president of PMI, are you?
It's the only presidency I still have. Because I was president of our Lions Heraldic group, our English community of Lions, but now someone else took it over.
Okay. So but you were both concurrently, so you were a double president.
Concurrently, yeah, that was fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes during meetings, I forgot in which meeting I was.
And so 2 presidents, 2 roles. Does that mean you get 2 aircraft to fly, and then you get confused which aircraft to go to as well?
Of course. Two checks I got, 2 aircrafts. It was amazing. No, it was just, to be honest, at a certain point, it was a bit too much. I had someone at home a bit complaining. And now with the COVID, she also started to complain, because she told me, you are always here in this house. So she said to me, and that's where I'm sitting now, you go up 1 floor and you take that room. So, and you know who I mean, Abraham.
Orna, she nags you as well. Willem, did you have a question or something you wanted to add there? Did I cut you off?
Yeah, because we for involving the schools, actually we're involving the RTC organization,
Yeah.
which promotes the STEM education stuff. And there we give the teachers a trainer on project management, which they use within their school project. But that's starting really slowly, and we did it in Limburg because it's Belgium, it's different provinces, and each province you need to get your hooks in there. So we did that for Limburg, we did that twice for Antwerp, and we have contacts with West Vlaanderen. But we need a lot of volunteers for that.
And STEM?
STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that are promoted. So it are projects in every way. They create robots. They are also starting or already started with socially useful projects, like creating a remote control for people in the elderly home that works fine. So that's the kind of projects they do within these schools.
Is Jacques doing the UAT for that? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we wanted to ask it, but he's used to using Apple, so we can't ask that of him. So.
What's wrong with the Mac? Huh? I've been working on a Mac since 1984. So I often say to people, I have 2. No,
so your Mac of 1984 is still running now?
Yes.
No.
Very good product.
I have a good friend who collects Macs, and I gave him this one, and it's in his little museum.
Okay.
No, but I often say, I was just looking if my wife was not in the neighborhood. I have 2 big ones in my life. It's the Mac and Hilde, who's my wife. And I don't know if I ever have to choose between both, what I would choose. So.
Hilda, I don't know if you heard Orna shouting from the background, Hilda.
I don't hear that, no.
No, I didn't either. It's the same, and I don't think, actually, she can't hear me. If it's Orla or Rosie, our dog, it's a clear choice for me as well. But speaking of the Mac, I thought you must be still using the old one, because we had a similar problem with Chris presenting today. He's also a Mac fan, so that's obviously something you have in common, and he wasn't able to present, wasn't he? We struggled with that one.
To be honest, I did a lot of hosting sessions this week, and I had no problem at all. So not like the last session where they had problems with the sound and so on. But okay, that's another discussion. You can discuss about that for hours. Good.
Okay, I mean, this is unscripted, open, informal. That's exactly how Jacques wanted it. So if anyone's got any questions, now's the time to ask.
Yes, so Jacques, I have a question for you. So when you took up on the, let's say, reign of president of the PMI, so what was your personal goal with this?
Well, to be honest, like I already told you, I was a little bit dragged into the PMI board by Chris to do the educational thing. I did that for 4 years. And for, I think, almost 5 years, people are trying to convince me to become president. But I always said I prefer someone younger as president, because I'm not the future. We have to look at it. I am indeed, Brian, in the gray area. But then I was thinking, okay, you ask it, you say, okay, with the experience you have, with the experience of people manager, why not do it? And at the end, I remember it was during a meal. It was mussels with good wine. I agreed, okay, let's go for it. And that, in fact, is and my only aim as president, and it was, and it still is, to be open to the members, because I have personal ambition. I don't need it anymore. So I still try to be very reachable for the members. And that is, of course, with the goal I had, and what happened makes it more difficult. Huh?
Yeah, I can understand.
But what I liked very much is that last year, when we decided to go virtual, I came up with the idea, why not do it like we did a lot of years ago? Why not join with Luxembourg and the Netherlands? And people like Gert and Brian, who organized it, they never heard about the Benelux thing. And to be honest, I'm happy that we did it. If I see the commitment of the other chapters, it's worthwhile doing it. And I see that we have a proposition for a new president already. I see Brian saying Gert for president. But then he has to wait 2 years, because our next president is already chosen. It will be Christine, who is much younger than I am. And the first time in the history of PMI Belgium, it's a woman.
It's not a democracy.
Well,
everything is set up front.
To be honest, I would like that it was a democracy. But the fight you have to find candidates, to find people who want to do it, the effort I had to convince Christine to become president, well, it was also a dinner with mussels. But I thought it worked on me and it worked on her. So I did the same thing.
Yeah, we were discussing this earlier. There are ongoing elections, right? And there's still positions open. So,
yeah.
And lots of positions. So ideally, if multiple people apply for the different positions, it does become a vote as well, right? From the members.
In the past, we had it, but to be honest, it's becoming more and more difficult to find those volunteers.
You have to find people that want to engage themselves for 2 years to really perform the job, because the members long time saw it as, oh, you're in the board of PMI, so you get the company car and the champagne and the women and the aircraft. Actually, if you're in the board of PMI, it's a lot of hard work and coordination and rounding up volunteers and trying to achieve something, because it's like having being in power but having no power at all.
Well, it's a bit like getting married, isn't it? You have the muscles and beer to lure you in, and then once you're in, that's it. It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, that's probably a good similarity. Is that how Orla did it?
No comment. She's listening, and it's being recorded.
Okay.
To be honest,
every club, my wine club too. It's all depending on the 3-4 people who want to spend the extra time.
Yeah.
It's always the same, every organization.
Yeah, that's true, Philip. I see it. But to be honest, once you join the board, you have a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but I hope that Willem and Brian and Gert agrees on that. It's also a nice community.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes.
But yeah, it takes time. Eh? You have to put your time in there. You have to put your effort in there, and yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes even some investments, because
Yeah,
you don't have budgets for everything. It's
that's true. That's true.
It's very difficult from working in a corporate environment when you have employees and you have full-time dedicated. You are dependent on volunteers and they're giving up their time. So it's more about influence, but it's also the opportunity to try different things. And we've seen people that have taken on different roles within the board as well. So if you thought, I want to explore marketing or what have you, but there's no way you could take a marketing role in a corporate world, then it is something you can explore and do on PMI as well. So there is the opportunity to try different things and see potentially, if you're thinking about how your career might progress, there are opportunities like that. And many of us, there are people that support us as well. We don't do everything, but for me, I've been involved in the PMI fair for 2 or 3 years now, and I love it. The creative side, reaching out to speakers, putting together a program, coming up with a theme, and it actually worked the other way for me. For the first couple of years, is what I did for PMI. I actually took back to the office and took people from the office into PM fair, and the whole thing overlapped. So you do have a chance to either explore your creative side, or if you want to be the CFO or you can actually do something different on a voluntary basis. A relatively safe area. Again, people are forgiving. They know your volunteers as well. So you do your best. It's not full time. It's not employed. So that's respected as well.
Well, it's lucky then, because I went in DXC before in HP and EDS. What the company was called, I was kind of the central point for PMI memberships and PDUs and everything. But it's not uncommon that I get criticized by the people in the organization. They are complaining about a lot of things, as if I was going to be their secretary to make sure that they get their PDUs done and these type of things. I can show you mails where I think, sorry guys, I'm a volunteer. If you don't want my help, stop the conversation.
Yeah, but we also have that as well, and it tests your skills. I think there was one speaker last year who shall remain nameless, but Jacques remembers as well, got blacklisted and will never present for us again. Was demanding this, demanding that.
Yeah, and
it was only when we actually pointed out we're volunteers, this is all over and above our additional day job, that they realized they thought we were. A lot of conferences are organized by professional organizations that sell to the punters, get the speakers and take the money from the middle. And it was like, this is not for profit, by the members, for the members. And when that was made clear to them, then that they changed their tune. But it was kind of like demanding this, I want this, I want that. It's like, okay.
I also got gratefulness. People were audited sometimes on their applications for PMP. It's a tough process. I don't know if you have ever seen that one, but you have to supply a lot of information. So some people are very grateful if you can help them a little and say, why don't you do that? Why don't you supply that as information? So it works a bit both ways, obviously. That's
I completely agree with Brian, when you can get something out of it by taking on a board member role. And that's what we're trying to do also for the volunteers, like the people that are teaching for VDAB. Actually, can pretty safe environment, experiments, teaching to people, something they're really comfortable in project management. So they get the experience and they get to take that back to their professional life also, because it's for a group of people, so you will get the habit of speaking for a lot of people or for a group of people in a relatively safe environment. So you can take things back from PMI, so it's a win-win, and that's what we're trying to achieve. And to come back to Jacques saying that our community is growing older, in 2020, when Jacques came as president, we were planning to have events. As Director of Academic and Educational Outreach, I wanted to do something at University Ghent, involving a lot of students and trying to attract them to our organization because the young people, they are also likely to volunteer, want to volunteer. If they see it and they can get something out of it, they will volunteer, and you can get members out of there. We need to see with membership, with DDA, if we can get them student membership. And I hope PMI.org supports us in doing those things, because we need to get fresh blood into the organization.
Good. Yeah, you hear Willem. Willem is very active, and I'm happy because he was one of my volunteers when I did the educational thing, and he was really on his knees begging me, Jacques, do you want me in the board? And I'm so happy that I admitted him to join the board. So Willem.
You see that's wrong, Jacques. I was on my knees because probably I'm completely drunk. then you made me sign a paper, which I don't know what was on there.
Eat mussels.
Mussels with white wine, huh? Was it, Jacques?
Yeah.
Mussels with white wine.
Yeah.
I think it was with Duvel.
Okay.
With Duvel.
Yeah.
So be careful if the board offers you drinks. It's never a good thing.
No.
That is a very convincing drink.
Yeah.
But regarding this, to get some more fresh blood in the organization and some younger blood, and I also recognize this, I also have some ambition to do this, but it has to fit in your life. And I think that is currently a big challenge for a lot of people, perhaps of my generation and perhaps younger generations than myself, because we don't find the time. You know, you're trying to educate your children in the best possible way, which is perhaps already a little bit different than the previous generations. We have to cope with many different challenges. I have 3 daughters, suffering a little bit of some, mental stuff. So it has many dimensions, the way we have to now raise children these days and cope with your professional career and with your personal life. And then again, indeed, you want to make a part of something and contribute again to something where you say, I like to do this, I would like to do this, I have something which I can teach to young people, but it has to fit in our lives. And currently for me, for example, that's not a fit, and at some point that will become a fit. And when I'm looking at my father, for example, he has spent his whole career with Deleuze. It's a well-known, let's say, market in Belgium. For distribution of food. And he never got time for me as a kid. He never got time for his family. But now he found some time to, for example, work with the Kiwanis. It's also an organization like the Lions Club and the Rotary. And he's enjoying this. And it's a similar story like you are explaining your story. So it is an element of contributing and taking the advantages and benefiting from the positive outcomes of that contribution, and at the same time keeping the fun in it and make it well for yourself.
I agree.
I think there's some I don't know if it's been clear as well, there's associate board members as well. So there's a way, and perhaps it's not publicized enough. We focus perhaps too much on the board and presidency, but there are ways to get involved and to get a taster, and you can see what those things are. And we're always very cautious with volunteers. We make sure that people don't overcommit. We make sure they're supported. And if you look at the Maria, who worked with us on this year's PM Fair, published the team that was involved in PM and PM Fair, but the hardest part I had was coordinating all of those people and the enthusiasm. It's not just down to 1 or 2 people. So there are a lot of ways to get involved and a lot of ways to volunteer that don't necessarily mean making a full-time commitment. But I think we tried 3 or 4 times. Again, it didn't help with the pandemic to have the volunteer days when you can actually have these discussions and say, how can I get involved without being in the deep end up to here and explore some of those ideas as well. So
to come back on that, Brian, you got the different levels of commitment within the volunteering. Yeah, for instance, Frank was doing things on learn by practice. Learn through practice, and they needed some translation of slides and stuff. Those are things you do quite offline without having to leave your home, and you can do it and you can supply the results. Another thing I wanted to add is the teaching part and being a director and stuff. gives energy. It doesn't always take energy, it gives a lot of energy, because I remember when it was still instructor-led training, that after work, so at 5 o'clock, rush in the car to VAB to give training. And at the end of the evening, I got out of the class and I was completely energized. I needed some time to cool down, because you heard the people there, which are really willing to learn. And you come out of there and you say, yes, good evening. And it gives a lot of energy. So it's not only taking energy,
it can be quite powerful. Again, the PM Fair experience, again, however good the marketing is, it might look professional, but a lot of the people that are presenting are first-time presenters, members, just want to explore their subject. And the feedback that I, for the last 2 or 3 years, have got from them about how beneficial the experience is and how much they've got out of it and how grateful they are, is truly win-win. It's not just the people attending the sessions, but the speakers as well. And that's where you can get the energy from. That can be powerful.
But basically, to ensure some continuity, I think it's important to indeed lay the right seeds. And over time, these seeds you will be able to harvest them. So yeah, at some point in time, perhaps in 5 years, I will have a different situation. I will say, yes, of course, I would like to take part of your community and indeed be more active in this. At some point, yeah, people will step up and yeah, please continue, of course, in promoting this, because it's so important.
Yeah, Jeffrey, what we always say is to people who are like you, young, with young children, we always say there are 3 levels. The first one is your family. The second one is your job. And then when you will find still time, you can volunteer.
Okay, yeah.
But I've seen volunteers that wanted to do too much, and then they got into trouble. So I really understand your point, and it's a very good point.
I would even
There's
say
one thing I want to add. Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead. Sorry.
Jacques, so I wanted even to say, Jacques, actually first take care of yourself, then take care of your family, then take care of your job. And then you can take care of the others.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You have to start with yourself.
Apart from PM Fair Week, then it goes the other way around. First of all, you take care of PM Fair, then you take care of yourself. Then
is Orla not listening anymore?
I'm beyond arm's length, so I can say what I need. I'll just pay for it later.
What did he say? I'm always listening, Jacques. Always.
But outside of arm's length.
I hear you.
I think Eric stepped outside. Have you stepped outside because you have something to say, Eric?
No, I just wanted to say that just to illustrate, I am joining this call while supervising my kids skateboarding. So, oh, you did a good one. No, so I just wanted to say that I fully agree with what you said there, Jacques. It's finding the balance between all the different tasks that we take on.
Great, thank you. But there's one thing I want to share with you is being involved with PMI can also give you a job. And that sounds strange, but that happened to me. I remember that about 6 years ago, I was invited by the Odyssey campus in Brussels to give a presentation for, it's when they started with BBM, the business marketing, business marketing bachelor. And they had their first year and they invited me to talk about project management. And I gave an explanation. It was planned, I think, for 1 hour. And after 2 hours, we stopped. And then the next year, they decided, yeah, but if we want to continue with that, we definitely need a course on project management for those marketing guys. And then indeed, as from the second BBM, we started with project management. And I'm doing that course now already for 5 years, not only for the second year, I repeat it for the third year, and I even guide students in their thesis and work placement. And the reason I was invited, because I knew someone from the Lions who knew I was involved with PMI. So being a volunteer can even help you in your career. And I have someone standing next to me who's looking if I'm not telling some lies. Come, Hilde, come to the camera.
Hello.
Some of you know her. That's my real boss.
Hello, Erik. Brian.
Some of you know her, so.
Ik zeg, wat moet dat zijn doen? Mag je dat? Ja, als je gewoon komt bij ons kijken. Dat je tas kwam.
Good.
Okay, looks like we're wrapping up the session. Hilda's giving Jacques his marching orders. No more.
No,
with
Hilde
me.
was just telling me, remind them of what you did when you were younger.
Yeah.
We had an agreement when I came home. I took time for the children. And then when they went to bed around 8 o'clock, I continued working until 10 or 11. Instead of continuing and not seeing them. So that was our plan, and it worked.
And I think now he has to do the dishes.
No, we have a washer, Willem, with what PMI pays me.
Willem, now we take a walk.
First.
Jacques, I think that is a very interesting way of dealing with your time.
Well,
Yeah.
We started with it because the children were always complaining. We never see you, you never have time. And then we made that change, and yeah, with the 1 hour, 1 hour and a half that I really took for them, they were very happy. Because my job was reading stories.
That never changed, right? You still do that now.
No, I always say it's the only thing I can do. It's talking and explaining. As long as I don't have to do anything, everything is okay.
Yeah. And 5 years of the exams, hopefully you'll pass soon. If you keep studying and work hard, you might pass those exams.
Sorry?
You said 5 years you've been doing the exams?
At
No,
Odyssey.
he's been teaching the students.
Oh, okay. I thought he was
I'm teaching the students. I follow them up on their thesis, and yeah, last year I was asking them, okay, how long will I continue? Because I'm not 20 anymore. And they said, until you drop. So let's see how long I survive.
So that is the question. 2 years, the past president for the next couple of years, no longer Lions president. So what is next for Jacques?
Retiring.
No. Chris was on this morning. He's 72 and still going and still working. So that's.
I know.
Advisor, counsel.
Advisor to myself. Huh? No, I don't know. It's. But to be honest, I'm now, I think, 8 or 9 years in the board. 2 years to come as past president, then it's time to step back. Otherwise, you become like someone who is watching what everyone is doing, and that's not good. That's also something that Chris taught me. He said, I'm not going to play the grandmother who's going to watch what the others do. I have the same idea. I will help Christine, and when she's going, I will quickly, but I will keep involved with PMI. I'm sure
It was quite interesting this morning when we were talking to Chris, and then the last presentation from Philippe today about the circular economy.
Yeah,
Chris was telling us how when he started 20 years ago, it was the Benelux chapter, and how his colleague inspired Netherlands, and then he inspired the Luxembourg spin-off, and then, you know, how ironic it was that we'd pulled 3 together to do a virtual online. And the first PM Fair I was involved in, I think 4 years back as a volunteer, then 2 years back as the
Sure.
content, and then the last couple have been virtual. I mean, we love the physical, but the virtual has its advantages, collaborating with the other chapters. And I remember last year we had speakers from India, Canada, US, all over the place, Israel, and participants as well. What's going to happen next year?
Who knows? Who knows? I know the problem with Benelux we had was we did it in the time, it was 1 year in the Netherlands and 1 year in Belgium, but it was always difficult to find a place that was reachable for everyone. And in Belgium, it was often around Antwerp in that time, because from the Netherlands, that was almost the best place to reach.
Yeah, and that's been solved by the virtual stuff. No more traveling, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so
for the
next year,
environment.
yeah, so next year, will it be virtual or will it be physical, or will it be a combination of both, but not like we tried this week to separate them out? That will be interesting to see how that unfolds.
I think it should be both. Hi, my name is Maud. I'm not
Oh,
from the
Maud.
PMI Belgium, but from the Netherlands one, the Dutch one. And I was part of the team from the Dutch side. I think I'm very new in volunteering for PMI. I joined in April only. And I think it should be both, because I think online is good because you can see some other speakers. If you do that only in the Netherlands, only in Belgium, only in Luxembourg, you see not all the time the same speakers, but I think it's better to have access to the other one as well, I think.
Mm.
But maybe if the COVID situation is much better than now, and I hope it, like you wanted to do, Brian, like the Friday, it's a physical one in each country, and I think it could be a good one because it's a mix of two, and so people can attend from online, and it's a joint, a really joint event. And then on a Friday, for example, or it's country by country, and
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
allow the networking and the physical contact.
Yeah.
It would be
I don't
interesting
know.
to see how it evolves over for the,
Yeah.
as Philippe says, people are self-employed or even if they're employed, the session at 8 o'clock or midday or early evening, you can fit into your workday without losing any time to travel. And the last couple of years have taught us an awful lot, but all of a sudden people are saying, what do you mean I have to go back to the office? What do you mean you want a physical meeting? Can't we do this on Zoom? Whereas at the beginning, it's like, you want me on Zoom and I have to put my camera on. And the habits have changed. So it'll be interesting to see how they evolve over the next year.
You could also try to try the hybrid situation. So indeed try to get some local events and then bridge them with the other sites, with the other locations through a virtual channel. I think there are some good technologies out there. Perhaps you can find the right sponsors in this so that you, well, let's say, bring them all together, all these different locations, then virtually again.
You broadcast the sessions. That's what was planned at first on the Friday. It was supposed to be in Belgium physical, but not in the Netherlands. And the plan was to broadcast the Belgian event.
So, but we were surprised to hear that some companies forbid their employees to attend a physical event.
Was it really so? Okay.
Yeah, we heard from some companies, and I was really surprised when I heard that.
And still due to COVID.
Yes.
Geoffrey, I'm still not allowed to go to customers except for business critical travel.
Okay.
So, and before, a year and a half ago, I was in Zaandam every week for 2 days. And then it stopped. And 1.5 years later, I have not been there anymore. But it's still for us, we can only have an application, exception application for critical business. But obviously, this is my free time. I have restarted the wine club, actually, but I'm using a COVID safe ticket. So the members come in and I scan their COVID safe ticket. And then we can do it. And we have a few members who refuse to get vaccinated. And I'm saying, sorry, but we are not letting them in. The board of the club has decided that we will go for vaccination.
What we also could do is one serious virtual event with serious presentations, and then 3 separate events, one in Holland, one in Belgium, and one in Luxembourg, to get together, to socialize, with a little serious meeting in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, certainly one of the things we learned when you organize the physical event is high cost, high stress, you know, trying to get the people on board as well. None of it's done to make profit. It's all done to break even. Whereas the virtual event last year, I think, cost nothing and generated nothing, and yet had a lot of attendance as well. So balancing that between the physical event, but maybe more local events, because again, I think Luxembourg have organised a physical event today. It's a smaller place, but if we try to organise a social event for a drink, for example, whether it be Antwerp, Brussels, Liège, wherever, people have got to travel, and it's not what they're interested in. So we'll have to. I don't think we're the only ones, with that quandary to resolve, but it will be a difficult one for next year. But
yeah, the price, as I said, the price is also an element. If you have to fund this to yourself, then you have to balance a bit during the week and streaming. Everything is available as information. Do you want me to spend 200 euros extra for being there physically?
Yeah.
It's a difficult one,
That's a good point.
I also think that's an important one. People before it was for every event. I'm also involved in other things like IBA and so on. And every time it's paying for this, paying for that. And you can't always ask for that money with your employer. But with these virtual events, it's becoming very easy and fun also to be there and to follow it.
But there, I think we can learn from each other. I think the Netherlands is a different way of dealing with financing and sponsoring events.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean?
I think there the members pay more to attend the events.
Yeah, they have an organization who does all the planning and the events, and they always do it in the same place. While we try to move around to different places. Yeah.
Okay, been a good session. Jacques, we've got the last few minutes. It's nearly the weekend. I don't know how your whiskey's doing. Did Hilda sneak in a few more drops?
I was thinking about it. It's time that we stop. But there's still enough in it, so.
The invisible president has become visible. Like I said, I thought you were quite visible this week, and last year you were supportive as well. But perhaps your final few words, reflection on this week and 2 years of invisibility.
To be honest, when everything came up, it was very hard for me. Because you know me, Brian, I'm a very social person. I like to see people. I like to hug people. So now each time I see Hilda, I hug her to hug someone. So but after a while, it's okay. You get more, and I will never get used to it, to be honest. But you survive, and what I appreciate a lot is that suddenly we had that problem, but we were able to organize everything. We had our sessions, our events, virtual. We had last year the great idea of a virtual PM fair where you and Gert did really a great job. This year we tried to do it live, but due to a lot of circumstances, it was not possible. But the way that everyone reacted, and that we had this marvelous week together with Luxembourg and the Netherlands, to be honest, the only thing I can say is that I'm very proud about my board, because the only thing I do is from time to time I show up, but all the work is done by the volunteers. So yeah, I can't say more than that, regarding everything, the board did a great job. Huh?
Yep. And we're all volunteers, and there's still some positions open. So
Yeah. So feel free.
yeah. And if you're smart like me, you'll partner up with somebody like Geert that does all of the work, and you just put the front on it and take all of the credit. That's how it works best.
Yeah, but you're gonna deal with drinks, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's cost me a fortune. I had to drive to West Vleteren just to get the beer to keep him going. Yeah.
Wow. That's the least you can do.
Good thing is that the next president is not that drunkard as the current president, so.
But you'll be there to help and guide.
To help to drink, yeah.
But you convinced her with Duvel, you said so.
And mussels.
No,
Don't
with
forget.
her it was with wine.
Ah.
I say we're looking for volunteers. There are positions. I think there's notifications going out as well.
Yeah.
Just, I suppose, to finish off, a word of warning: if Jacques invites you to Brussels for mussels, you know what's coming. Be careful. Don't drink the Duvel and don't sign anything unless you know what you're letting yourself in for.
The invitation is mostly in Leuven, so because then I can walk home.
Oh, crawl home. Or roll.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacques.
Thank you.
Pleasure to
Thank you,
talk with you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for joining
Thank
tonight and
you.
all of the other
Thank you.
sessions. Been a great
Thank
week.
you.
Enjoy your
Thank you.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for
Bye.
the nice
Thanks
week.
a lot. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.